Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome to something that's a little bit different for Northeast Ohio this time of year, and that's kind of a warm, sunny day. When I say warm, that's all relative. It's 54. Coming out of Florida, though, it was in the 80s when we left. We're going to get out here and look at this bike. Lots of features on this one. Price point-wise, this is the only company I've ever had that has told me specifically they want me to compare this bike to another bike similar to it, because they believe for the price, their stuff is better. And reading the specs, they might be onto something there.
What have you been up to?
I've been riding on a daydream.
So this is from a company called Troxus, and you can see this is a Troxus Explorer. This is a step over. Of course, they make a step through. Hear the church bells going off in the distance. This has a 750 watt Bafang hub motor. It's an 8-speed shifter, so the fact that you're using Bafang, that's kind of a well-known name. Instead of a no name, that's a step up from standard. The 8-speed, that is a step up from standard. Normally it's a 7-speed. And where it really stands out by far is it has a 48 volt, 20 amp hour Samsung battery. Okay, those Samsung batteries, those LG Samsung batteries, they're expensive. And most of them that we get are at most 15 amp hour. So this one is 20 amp hour. Now, with that bigger battery, they know, they've stepped it up and put something way above standard there. And they went to a 54.6 volt, 3 amp charger. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. I'll have to say that they do have free shipping. They have 15-day returns and a 24-month warranty. I'm going to be impressed if this thing actually meets all the standards that are listed here, and if it actually comes through. We move back out of the wind so you guys can hear us a little bit better. The standard packaging. This packaging isn't any different than what we see from most. It did arrive all in one piece. Looks like it's in very good shape, so I'm happy about that. There's a slide assembly to be done on this. Nothing crazy. Basically, you're going to mount your fender, which these are metal fenders. Wow, okay. So again, above standard. Some people prefer plastic. I don't have a preference one way or the other. The rods that hold the fender look like that they're made of stamped steel instead of just a wire. So that's a little bit better. The rack says it can hold 55 pounds. That's pretty normal there. But as far as assembling it, it's nothing more than putting the fender on, putting the front tire on, adjusting, putting the handlebars on, and that's pretty much it at that point. So we're not going to go through those simple things, but we did want to show you the packaging. It's something that we do with all of our unboxings, just so you can get an idea of what you're going to see and how well they did. You know, these things ship from quite a ways away. There's no mystery. These things are coming from China. So the fact that they come in one piece, that's really good. And it all depends on the packaging. And in this case, no problem. This is what it looks like out of the box with everything off of it except for the plastic for the seat. The frame is a lot better looking in person than I anticipated. There's this strange artistic looking triangle going on here. And it molds up in, I don't know if you can tell, but it gets welded here. This is all aluminum alloy. And then of course this big battery housing that's in this. I mean, this is incredible here. And of course the weld, just really cool looking overall. Moving back here, you can see that big word Bafang right on the motor. Whenever you talk about these, there is a maximum wattage that always exceeds their rating. But the thing I want you to take away from this is it is a 26 inch, which we'll get the tire on and we'll get some height things here. But a lot of times when we do these reviews, I get a lot of people that are asking a lot of questions about specifics that, you're just going to have to go to their website and read that information based on the fact that the way they state, for example, the maximum range. I have people say, well, how far will it go on a charge? What, with me on it? Going up hills? I don't pedal. I'm maybe heavier than you are. Heidi has always gotten more range out of the bike than I have, no matter what bike we have, because she's lighter and she pedals the entire time that we go everywhere. And she don't put it on maximum setting, and she doesn't necessarily going maximum speed. Guess what I do? The exact opposite. Full speed, don't pedal. Occasionally I'll pedal, but I'm also heavier. I'm a bigger wind sail going down the road. I'm not only putting more weight on the bike, but I'm also putting a bigger sail in the wind to slow it down. So whenever we get into some of these specifics on the battery, for example, I'm just telling you that this battery is large compared to what we've had in the past. So far what I'm seeing as far as the standards of the build, everything on this is a little better. Again, you're talking, instead of an entry level, you have a step up with this Shimano Acera, again an 8-speed. The Bafang name for the motor, as we just mentioned. The tires even. These are Kenda tires. I know that may sound foreign to you, but Kenda is a very popular tire that has been around for a long time. Matter of fact, I think I had a go-kart that I did a video on my other channel quite a few years back, and I'm pretty sure they were Kenda tires. So there's a lot of things that they've put on here that are above and beyond. As far as the braking system, I do want you to be aware that this one, guess what? Step above. These are hydraulic brakes. These are not cable brakes. So there's little things that they've done that add up, but it don't add to the price. At time of filming right now, I think this is $1,300, and there may be a discount code that's in the description that you can use to order it. Of course, like I say, in the video description. So at some point, if you want to check out the links, make sure you click the links and see what the current pricing is on this. But let's get it together before we count our chickens. We want to see this thing hatch and see exactly what it does and how nice it is once together. So oh, by the way, Tektro disc, and they're thick. I don't normally see that. Tektro is another brand that is kind of common, but not common on the cheaper versions that are coming out. I like the way it looks. We actually wanted the blue, but they were out of it. So black's no problem. Kind of looks like Black Ops, something that gets dropped out of a helicopter, right? Altogether, very nice as expected. I'm going to have to compare it to some of these other ones we've had, such as the Rad Rover and the Mach Wheel. And I'm going to have to say that it's pretty close to that. We're going to have Heidi take this for a ride and give you her thoughts on it. But as I took it around the block, the first thing that I noticed was something that I don't ever see on any of the other bikes, and that is with me pedaling lightly, not with much effort at all. I got it up to 26 miles an hour, and that don't normally happen on these bikes with me. The other thing I notice is whenever I'm just using throttle only, it goes to 20. It doesn't really exceed 20. That's a built-in parameter, I'm sure. And I'm sure if you knew how to get into the settings of this thing, you could probably change that. I don't know if I'd really play with that stuff too much, though. It was a smooth ride, and the Kenda tires definitely make a difference compared to the other brand that we had. We're going to bring out another bike that we just recently reviewed, and we're going to see if price-wise how much difference there is here. But I can tell you right now, this should be an $1,800 bike. There's other companies that are charging $1,800 and $1,900 for the exact same qualities as this one, and at this price point, I mean, you're barely over $1,000 when you think about it, if you're just $300 over. And whenever you get a discount of any kind, if you can get this around $1,200, even at $1,300 though, you're well below that $1,599, $1,699, $1,799, up to $1,999 that you see a lot of these bikes. So really big battery. The charger plug goes in here. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you should be able to charge the battery all by itself. We'll take a look at that in just a second here. This is how you remove the battery out the front. There's just a latch here that keeps it locked in place. Of course, this key here keeps the battery from falling out. That's what these two keys are for. You see they kind of got a special little groove to them, which is different. The brakes work awesome. The light's pretty good. This is like just a straight on, okay, you're going to get blinded by this, but you got to have the right angle. So spend some time, make sure that that's pointed to illuminate your path at night, but also to give riders down the road during the day something to see. A little bit different on this. We'll have Heidi pull the brake, but you can see the taillights in the back where they are, and they do flash whenever you pull the brake. So I don't know how practical that is, but they're not turn signals. Usually you see an LED up here, but I'm glad they included it, and I didn't have to install it or wire it. Heidi said this is the first bike that we've had in a long time that we haven't had to install the headlight. It's part of the handlebars. Again, if you want to play safe, we always have auxiliary lights that we add. Flashing lights, very bright flashing lights. They do make a difference. So we're going to get Heidi to go take this for a ride and tell us what she thinks about the situation, and then I'll check on that charging. Again, it's a big battery. It's a 20 amp hour battery, and they got a 3 amp charger, so I want to see if you can bring that inside and plug it in for the evening instead of leaving it on the bike. Oh, by the way, there is a place with this big battery you can tap into a USB port that's right here and charge your phone if you want to put a phone mount up here. He says it's too big, which we knew that. It is a 26 inch. Yeah. The seat is all the way down. Yeah. But once she gets it going, I'll tell
you that I see Michael riding this style bike, and this style bike is definitely for you.
Oh yeah, it fits me.
For your height and your weight.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know the weight limit on this.
So talking about weight.
The bike weighs 100 pounds.
100 pounds. This is the heaviest bike that we've tested by far. So Heidi's going to go out here and see if she can avoid some traffic and have her go down the street and see how fast she can bebop this thing, because pedaling and pedal assist 5 and speed 8, she should fly. Yeah, there she goes. She was pedaling real nice and easy. Maybe she's afraid of the bike. I thought she would go flying by. It must just be too big of a bike for her. I might have to get on there and film my big butt pedaling the thing.
It's pedal assist 5 with pedaling.
Again, this company was the only one that talked about actually comparing it with another competitor. And we just did a review on this rattan, and we liked the bike a lot. We talked about it quite a bit. The lady that watches our videos, I think her name's Mia, right? Yeah. She's really nice, been conversing with us. And there's nothing out of the ordinary about their bike that makes it bad. Compared to this one, as far as the price point, though, we've got to, bring out some differences. First of all, let's bring out the similarities. They're both fat tire bikes. They're both 26 inch by 4 tires. They're both of fine weld frame aluminum alloy. They are welded and put together very nicely. The design, their fit and function, everything's superb on both of them. They both have really good strong points. Of course, the headlight in the rattan's better. I believe I like the taillight better on the rattan. I like the way the taillight's integrated on this one, though. And the headlight on that one does have a good function as far as lighting things up on the Troxus. The one thing that you need to look at that might be a little bit different, though, that might be something that would make your decision change, is the motor on the rattan. It's not a Bafang, it's just a 750 watt motor. The front forks, both very good, both very stable. You can see this one a little bit closer together, the forks are, than this one. Might add a little bit more stability when riding. The reason that I'm comparing the Troxus with a step-through design is because Troxus makes a step-through, guess what? You don't need that crossbar there. You could have it without it. You could have something that looks like this. As far as riding the bikes, the tires make a big difference. And I'll have to say that those Kendas that are on the Troxus, big difference. The pedal assist on both is very good. I can get more speed out of the Troxus when I'm pedaling versus the Rattan. Even though I changed the P settings on the Rattan, you can't quite get the same kind of speed. Both the displays are very nice. Nothing wrong with those whatsoever. But when we get into the big differences, and that's what makes an electric bike an electric bike, and that's the motor, the power, the torque, and the battery. Now in this case, they also give you an 8-speed transmission or gear set versus a 7-speed that comes standard on that one. On this one here, you're looking at that big battery providing 20 amp hours versus this one, which is 15 amp hours. That's a big difference when you're riding. I mean, that's a quarter of the amp hours when you're looking at it, you know, apples to oranges. So kudos to Troxus, because this is going to be the biggest, you know, I guess eye-opener, if you want to call it that. And that is the Rattan right now has $200 off. Again, we've done a review on that with a coupon, but they're $16.99, whereas the Troxus, you start off at $13.89. That's before discounts or anything else. I'll have to say, the reason they want us to compare this with a competitor is because they believe they're supplying better quality products at a lower price point, and they are not lying. There is better quality components on the Troxus for a lower price point than, in this case, the one that we just picked, the one we happen to have, Rattan. I'll also tell you that if you're in the market for a rad Rover, look at this one first, because this one has quite a bit of features. And I had a Rad Rover 5, and I know they've done different iterations since then, and the Rad Rover 5 might be a little unfair to compare it. However, this is far better than that $1,900 Rad Rover that I had to buy the rack separately, and at the time they just started supplying fenders for free. So big difference between this one and a Rad Rover. I will say that that's like a no-brainer. Finally, the last thing I wanted to show you is the battery does come out. It's pretty simple. There is a power charge right here, and when the battery is in the bike, you got to kind of turn the steering a little bit. The bottom's going to go in first. I don't know how well this is going to come on camera. I'm kind of doing this one-handed. There we go. And then once that drops in, you can see this trigger kind of bending, and it's latched. Now, that doesn't mean it's ready to be driven or anything like that. You want to lock it in place. So right now it's not locked. Now it is locked. So regardless if you turn this or not, the battery can't come out. So don't think that the lock, when you get these, turns the bike on or off. That's not the case. So now that we went over pretty much all the features for this, what we thought about it, we're going to ask Heidi what she thought, other than it being too tall. What do you think? For you,
For me,
it's not the right bike.
it's not, but it's a nice bike. If it was just a little shorter.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be actually that much shorter. This is a 26-inch bike, I believe. 24 would probably be really nice, and obviously a step through.
Right. Which a lot of these, you know, they go off the size based on the tire. So these are 26 by 4s. So they won't put these tires on a 24-inch frame necessarily. But they do offer low setting, low riding bikes that have 26 by 4. So
now, if this was the only bike that was available for me to ride, as long as it was a step through, I could ride it as a 26-inch.
Yeah, I mean, you rode it the way it was here. Yeah, I would never order this bike for her. I would order a step through. And even then, I would probably have to cut down the post a little bit to make the seat a little bit shorter. But links are down below for this. Can't go wrong, especially for the price point. I know a lot of people are having a hard time whenever we're doing these reviews on bikes, and we're like, yeah, it's on sale, you know, it's $17.99, and right now we have a $200 coupon. Well, you're still talking $1,600 when it comes right down to it, even with an $1,800 starting point, $200 off, you're still starting. Well, this one's starting the lowest that I've seen a bike that has these kind of features, and that's what they wanted to tell us to basically explain to you guys or express to you guys.
Also, with being on setting 1, assist 1, and pedaling, if you want to get some exercise, it's perfect.
Yeah.
It's not too hard to pedal. It's actually kind of smooth, because that's how I rode it the first time.
And she still did 20 miles an hour.
22.
22.
Yep.
So it's doable.
Yeah.
I like it. Heidi says this is the bike for me.
Yeah,
So,
it is. You definitely need the fat tire bike.
oh yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. And it's a beefier bike all around.
Right. All right, so close it out.
As always, we hope to see you out there. Bye.
Bye.